Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been eventful. I'm going to play a game of football. So, advanced instructions, defensive wing back. Got a wee man marking job on Cruz by Nedelku. Reasonably experimental team going in here. I haven't even checked their form. I might just go for it anyway. I don't know. So, I'm going to do this. I might experiment with some things while I'm playing. I don't know, this is a VCOM match and my team's not super strength or anything, so it might prove a tad difficult if I'm, simultaneously trying to get a result here. But we'll see.
Hello and a warm welcome to everyone across the globe. We should be on the way very shortly.
An experiment.
Will be with us any time now.
I'd like to try and find myself in a position that can offer some examples of how I would use what has been debated about is whether it was a driven pass mechanic or not. So that was me
just miss it. We are up and running already.
Was that hit with pace? It wasn't hit with huge pace, but it was arrowed.
It has to be the brains of the operation, Tony Kroos.
Yeah,
he's another one of the elite
certainly a little bit pacier than the standard pass, so it is actually a viable tool. There's one there.
And one of the first picks in the team.
Yeah, still certainly be leaning
Another
heavily
one.
on him. There, the Feu does well there, alert. So does he
So yeah, some of them leave the ground.
On everyone's lips. Where the manager's contract is
That's
concerned.
dictated by power, can be where the inconsistency lies with the driven passing mechanic would be the ground variance.
Gets up to head it.
That's a
Try one
cracking
now.
strike, and it may have stung the palms of the keeper.
Okay, so that was me trying one there.
Looking to big chance. Good stop.
Okay,
That
so
wasn't easy.
The keeper really dug
Yep.
out his defence then.
what that was a
Magnificent
quick
effort.
ball out to. There's another one.
They may have
So there's an
nothing to
issue
show for
there.
it so far.
Right, so
This is one
as
determined
a
start.
actual mechanic to strike the ball, pass the ball, it is there, but it's not without issues. Prime example there was maybe the power, and I'm trying to be careful as well, so I'm trying one here with Nedelku, huge kicking power. See?
Out to the left it
Lovely
goes.
pass here. Oh,
Towering header.
oh. Right, so,
Get the
I mean folks,
direction he needed.
I'm trying to point out what I'm using here as I use it, and then
They've got to stop the cross.
simultaneously offer critique. The fact is it exists, though. I mean, I think it's beyond doubt here. Now I would say, and I don't need people to have some grand debate about this, but personally, if I was looking at feedback on something like this, I would be making the feedback about, okay, there are inconsistencies here, and whether it be by design or accident by the developers, it's still worth feeding back. These actually maybe have something that could be fleshed out here. Even using it and having it mapped as it is, which is also something that people may say, yeah, but isn't there an element of counter-intuitive to this? It's asking too much. Well,
And the counter is
it's a driven pass. A driven pass, I believe, should carry an element of risk to it.
Icardi. Narrow Icardi.
So, I mean, I think to be more,
Goals.
just to be maybe a little bit too easy to pull off, you end up with a game which is full of people doing driven passes. We don't want that either. So maybe the truth, maybe the ideal solution lies somewhere in the middle. Now, I personally think, when I've been toying with this over the last couple of days, there's another one. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. I'm just, honestly guys, I'm really quite taken aback by this, if I'm being honest with you. I have been toying with this a lot, and my play has been quite broken, and I've felt as though I've been making errors with too many errors with it. It is too erratic, but it's working really well here. And I'm being honest. This is more an exception than the rule with regards to the level of accuracy I'm experiencing here. So I will concede, certainly for the moment, there are issues with it being here, and but the fact is it is there. So I don't really think the debate should be about they need to get driven passing in. It should be they have it in, but it has got limitations at the moment, and some performance issues, so we say with it as well. But it's there. It can be there. Big effort by Zaza here.
The keeper's done ever so well.
Well, what can I say? Truly wonderful goalkeeping.
I'm staggered here, folks, because it's not me, and this is when I say that, I'm not saying that to those who doubt it. I'm actually in a little bit of disbelief as to how effective this is proven at the moment in this match. Now, what I'll say here is,
looks like a good ball through.
This is early days, I suppose, in this game. But if I do start using it again, we might see issues. There's another one. Look at that for a pass. Look at that for a pass, ladies and gentlemen. That was knockout Ned hitting that man. And he's got high kicking power. He's got first touch passing capability as a skill. So maybe skills are playing a part in this then. Now, there's another thing to consider. For all people might have their own take on individuality. I think generally we can accept that so far as player skills go, if players have got skills, they can be quite telling in certain situations.
Out on the left now.
Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm getting. Here we go, we're trying another one.
They didn't manage to get nearly
that one caused a bit of bother. Now these might well be. Oh, he's fucked it up. I should have just played the grounder there. Okay, I'm going to do a quick pause here just to split the video, just to ensure I get all my thoughts on this in one video and don't find myself kind of overrunning what the PS4 HDD will allow. But yeah, this.
The more balls you get in the box, the likelier it is to score.
I'm thinking away here. Do you know what I mean? It's like, there are possible. So back again there. That was just me kind of ending off the last segment there. But oh my.
And we're off again.
Oh my.
At least there's always a plus side to a scoreless half. Defences are doing what they should, and it's going to take good imagination.
You know, I should really be going about trying to win this, but it's just the way this manual passing mechanic is working at the moment. There, that's misplaced, but I've driven that towards a forward. That's maybe when I'm going to look to do it. That quick ball into feet, and then look to just shift the play up the park that a little bit quicker. Driven pass, man. Driven pass, that's what it is. Up to a forward. Let's get it, try and get something that's a little bit more arrowed in. It's there. That was just a standard pass there.
The movement was good, but
there is huge flexibility to what I'm using here. I could be, it could be that I lose control here, lose a bit of focus, don't get a chance at goal. If I do, I'm going to try and use that same mechanic to shoot.
Looking as though he's being given special treatment here.
Right, now this might be a chance, but
if there's any ball watching, Peter, this fellow will run off the back of defense.
So that was me trying it there, right? So
like this.
What I'd say there is, again, I mean, he missed ultimately, didn't he? But there is a wee bespoke animation there, right? And I'm using that to try and get a shot out of it. I've hit the bar a couple of times. Very close things, attempts that maybe, they've just looked a bit cute, shall we say. And that's me using it as a shooting mechanic.
Delicate
So this
ball.
is this. So
Icardi.
this mechanic I'm using.
It's one.
Oh Christ, there was a goal here. What a save, twice by Bucky. So this mechanic I'm using
Pulisic
has got
slightly misjudged the timing, but there
so
was nothing
potentially
wrong with the
so much
intent.
functionality within the game. Potentially. Now I don't see why we need to step back from this necessarily and say no, we need bespoke buttons for driven you know, it needs to be called it. What if it was never called it, but this was all, you know, everything is tightened up a little bit,
Solid effort.
you know, and it is a form.
Ah, that's unlucky. The idea was really smart.
You know,
from
it's
me,
a
and he's
passing
had a
and
good
potentially
goal.
shooting mechanic as well as a crossing mechanic as default to be more expressive in your play. It's a skill, you know. It's a tool in the box. I don't think it needs to be, you know,
To get it forward
aye.
quickly. Driving
Could be
on
things
now.
like
What can they
responsiveness
conjure
and that
from
that might be
here?
more the issue.
Looking to
So
force
try
his
and
way
do the
through.
right bit. So that was ridiculous, wasn't it? So
It's gone out of play.
a driven pass backwards is not something you're going to do anyway, but that's more just to highlight, yeah, they can boot it as well. It probably is reliant
And he's made certain that
completely
won't get
on
through.
a player just being.
Zaza.
I'm going to try one here right now.
Crosses
I had a
it in.
couple of attempts with that last night and trying to use it as a kind of total, you know, a variant on the through ball. Needs more testing that, I think.
Now it's Zaza.
Well, we don't need to guess that
Now,
they
the first
expect
half there I was
plenty
doing some
of ball
midfield
into
play
the
with them.
box.
I wanted to see if I can try and do it
Crowd
again.
scene in the middle now.
Well, it's a
But it was
situation
definitely
that
happening.
requires resilience now and plenty of fighting spirit.
So this is
it has to be matched.
L1. So in my controller setup I've got the close
The ball through.
manual modifier on R1. L1 still my player switch. So what that means is that this
It
stuff
was
that I'm
such
doing
a clever idea to lift
is
it
me
into his
holding
path.
down R1, L1 and circle, and it's you know, whether it be double taps, single taps, you know, presses, whatever.
It's
I'm using it all,
Icardi.
you know, that's what I'm using.
Now it's Icardi.
Now,
Oh, he's going to be pulled back for that one.
if we were to talk about having these kind of this kind of flexibility, you know, it's offering driven passes, potentially very dangerous passing option, and you know, it's mapped to something like that. Just now, folks, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's maybe a little bit, you know, that's 3 buttons, but and maybe 4 prompts. But I mean, I'd want it. I mean, if there was just a little bit more flexibility with its potential than what is shown now, or certainly how it can seem to be at times, then I wouldn't be against it. You know, I wouldn't be against that being in the game at all,
but there's still time for some ebb.
and then basing more feedback around it from there.
Ball's loose. Who's getting there? And TT
So a
goes
lot
looking.
of focus on the conversation there. You probably notice I'm kind
Now it's Icardi.
of not being quite as intense.
Out
Or,
to the right.
I mean, again, I've not been playing a lot of these balls that I'm talking about. That first half was full of me trying to
The
do
manager
them.
making the last of his changes.
They're coming
You
off
have
in
to
different
admire his
places.
willingness to keep plugging away, but the manager has done him a big favour, I think, by taking him off. You know, he was looking very, very leggy.
I'm not kidding. See, just in
Glorious
isolation, I
footwork.
fucking loved the first half. How well that was
Concentration
working.
levels are very good, and so is the commitment.
Absolutely
This game
loved it.
could yet yield a
And I was
winner.
enjoying getting some use out of it, you know, what I was finding out and stuff, but just so far as putting into practice and getting something from it, that was a really good first half for it.
Well, you can't ask for much more than that. A
But
difficult moment he simply
I've got to
had
remember the
deal
team
with.
I'm using here,
So nearly
and they
came
will
off for
tire.
him.
Immobile
But big
certainly
Medent, well,
tends
here's
to
big knockout
cast his
head here.
influence, and he's in imposing mood again.
It really is now. He'll try from distance.
Ooh.
That's caused a worry or two.
Oh,
Well, he doesn't need a
Too
second
tempting.
invitation, even from that range.
tried the double tap at the end there. Ah, Ned.
Poorly directed kick from the keeper.
So I'm
He's
not
given
getting
it
as much
away.
ball here. I was kind of all over them in the
Dale
first half.
Now it's
But,
Vargas.
the dynamics of the
Look,
game are
this can
changing
still
here,
go
folks.
either way. It might be flowing one way, but there's
So that
still
was me
time
trying
for
that
some
wee
ed.
kind of early cross dink, you know, just a quick wee, I don't think there's anything wrong with that kind of.
2 minutes to be added on.
Right, so
Oh,
we'll
he's
hit
not
that.
going to get that.
And there's a little responsiveness switching issue. The player alertness is not there when I'm using it. So that is a code thing. There's no doubt about that.
He's come through and he's had
Again.
a quick look inside.
Bloody hell! Computer's at it now.
The final whistle.
Right,
And
so
stalemate. One, if not for fans,
a
then
dull
perhaps for
second
coaches,
half. I have to
satisfied
concede
by
that.
organisation and
After
solidity.
what I thought was an
Cutting
absolutely
edge at either
magic
end,
first half
and
of
it
football,
finishes 0-0.
trying to
Jim, how do
use
you reflect on what we've
that
seen?
driven pass
Listen, the more
option.
this game went on, a
Really,
draw
really
was
enjoyed
always
that. Really
likely to
enjoyed
be
the
on
joy I got
cards.
from
So
it there.
overall, I don't think anyone will be complaining too much about what
And
they've got.
I will say, folks, there was some very obvious examples where it was power up, then tap, and then booting it right along the ground, and they were working. There was examples of it not working, whether it be just stupidity on my part or the player alertness to what I was doing. So that's, you know, that's something that you'd think could be fixed. Elsewhere though, I was just hitting just the early cross button in situations in midfield and things like that. There was a lovely pass by Nedelku, and that was just using that mechanic. Just holding down R1, L1 and hitting it once. Had his back to the player, and you know, obviously because I've got the manual modifier, I picked where I hit it and he's just flicked it around. Beautiful looking pass. And that was using a mechanic that is being questioned, which is fine because there's questions, there's shortcomings in it, absolutely, but it's there, folks. It is absolutely there. It's irrefutable. I want them to work with this. I want them to keep. See, right now, if they were to keep the control map the exact same way as it was for PES 2019, I'd love the thought of them, you know, really having a wee work at that and tightening up that which is there just now. Just making it a tiny bit more flexible, just that little bit more consistent. It'd be wonderful in the game, I think. Absolutely wonderful. Really enjoyed that first half. Really did. Yeah, there we go, folks. So just a quick match, and it was more just to talk to some opinions out there, you know, and just to try and show this is, you know, I'm not saying that this is what that first half is something I've experienced all the time, but I have been messing around with it a lot, to be fair with it. I've just over time maybe gathered an understanding of what is and isn't possible, and then on top of that, with some examples in that game, I felt as though, you know, wow, I'm playing some pretty damn good football here using this mechanic. The game's allowing it, you know, it is allowing for me to use this as a viable passing tool, and further tests will be made with regards to its effectiveness in shooting, you know, where the limitations are there. So little observations I could make, you know, I can suggest, you know, even with that. And again, there is, when people say, well, you know, the issue is maybe with the players being in front and stuff like that, that might have some, you know, that might dictate what happens suddenly, because I have had a couple instances of that last night where it was powering it up to try and drill that kind of driven pass as a shot, and I got some strange results. You know, maybe that's okay to a degree because, right, it's not strictly speaking a shoot button. But I will experiment with that a little bit more. Anyway, this is pre-recorded and I'm just going to wrap it up now. See ya.